Yes, I'm back. And yes, the guru. Guru means teacher, and so does rabbi. And I would like to not teach, because who wants to go to school? We've been to school enough. We've taken enough abuse from our so-called teachers. It's about time to actually do something of free will. Hoshanna Rabba. Hoshanna Rabba is the great sealing of the high holidays. The day where we take the palm branch and the etrog and we go around and around in a circle going, I know, I don't know, how shall? A little background information is in order here. There are these two African American folks walking around. Can we say African American? Oh, okay. People of color are walking around by a shul, a Jewish place of worship. And one of them turns to the other and says, "Look inside there." It happened to be Hoshanna Rabba, the day before the Simchat Torah festival where we dance with the Torah. So the person of color looks in and says, "Look in there and tell me if those Jewish people aren't so confused." The other one says, "What do you mean?" He says, "Take a good look." He says, "What do you see?" He says, "I see what you mean, man. They're walking around and around in a circle. Everyone, they got a palm branch in one hand and a lemon in the other. And they keep saying, I know, I don't know. How shall I know? I know, I don't know. How shall I know?" This is a Jewish joke. Yes. In order to understand the Jewish joke, you must realize that on the Hoshanna Rabba festival, we say, Ana Adonai Hoshia Na. Yes, Ana, please God save us. Please God save us in Hebrew is Ana Adonai Hoshia Na. And it sounds surprisingly similar, strikingly similar to the American Negro, English, I can't say Negro, American, black, African, person of color, Eubonic, the Eubonic accent of I know, I don't know, how should I know? Okay, the joke has been made, and now we may continue. I believe we have 5 minutes left on the YouTube. On Hoshanna Rabba, Yesasum Midbar v'tzia v'tagel arava v'tifrak k'chavatzelet. So it says in the book of Isaiah that the desert and the dry place shall be happy and rejoice. The willow branch shall rejoice. Willow could also mean a dry plain. Arava is arava, and arava it has a double meaning. So let's translate as the willow branch shall rejoice, and the willow branch shall blossom as the rose. This is written in the 35th chapter of the book of Isaiah, the biblical prophet of Israel. The Biar Bazeh Kavod Adoni Avi Mori Rabbi, my holy master and teacher and father, may the mention of the righteous be for a blessing in this world and the world to come. He explained that on this day, on the 7th day of the Feast of Tabernacles, God shines into man that all of his actions that seemed, if they were devoid of light, that they were actually filled with light. And on this day, God shines into the man that there's no time in his life when he is completely separated from the source of life. It would be tremendously disrespectful to do what my evil inclination wanted me to do now, which was to say, duh. Of course, if somebody's alive, he's connected to the source of life. But maybe some people might not think about it, and just because it's obvious to me, a great spiritual genius, it might not be obvious to you, the average guy in the street. But to know that the great spiritual genius, like myself, who is, has been fasting, of course, for 40 days and 40 nights in my white clothing, and still acting just as loony as he always did, is just as connected to God as Joe Schmo selling newspapers and shining shoes in the airport. So, if I am mistaken as to the simple meaning of the words of the Tiferet Yosef, Tiferet Yosef is the idiot's guide to Ishbitz. In other words, it was the great-great-great-grandson who explained the words of the Radziner Rebbe in a very simple language. His son, I believe, was the Rebbe who was killed in the Second World War, in the Holocaust. God should avenge his blood from the dog that shot him in the Warsaw Cemetery. Now, the Tiferet Yosef Leiner, wrote these words. He's explaining the Ishbitz canon of spiritual inheritance of the Baal Shem Tov in the Ishbitz tradition, which we are so fond of. So, anyhow, everybody's connected. So we see how do we know that things that seemingly totally disconnected from God's light are actually filled with light, we see on this day. Because what do we do on this day? On Hoshanna Rabba, which this week will, in the year 5770, I think it's 2009, if I'm not mistaken, in the regular calendar, 5770, that we are going on the next, I believe it's in the 8th October. I just don't know. I've been in the sukkah for hours. We go on Thursday night, Friday morning. On Friday morning in the synagogue, we're going to take a willow branches, and we have a special service that was actually instituted by the prophets of. It's a 2,300-year-old spiritual practice that has been done every year by the Jewish people for 2,300 years. We're going to take a willow branch, 5 of them, and we're going to wave them in the air, wave them up to heaven, and then beat them 5 times on the earth. That's the final service of the high holidays of our ancient and modern tradition. So if the Tiferet Yosef, I'm going to stop the camera in a moment, I'm going to start again, but he's going to explain what's the connection between the first service of the year on the Rosh Hashanah, blowing the ram's horn, and that's the first thing the Jews do in the new year, and how 15 plus 7 days later, 21 days later from the first day of the year, what are we doing? We're taking a bundle of willow branches and beating them on the ground. Why is this the first service, and why is the willow branch beating the last service? And I hope you tune in on Betzalel 153 for the continuation of Hoshanna Rabba in the Ishbitz explanation of the customs.